There is a quiet weight we all carry, yet rarely speak of. The weight of being perceived. From the moment we wake up until we close our eyes at night, we cross paths with dozens of private universes. People carrying pains, traumas, quiet griefs, and battles we know absolutely nothing about. Yet, in its everyday arrogance, the human brain takes only a fraction of a second to categorize, label, and condemn. In the privacy of our own thoughts, we build an invisible courtroom, a place where we act as judge, jury, and executioner. We see someone stumble and declare them incompetent. We look at a choice someone else has made and pass judgment on their character. But the real tragedy of judgment is that it acts as an anesthetic for our own souls. While we shine the spotlight of scrutiny on the mistakes of others, we keep our own shadows comfortably hidden in the dark. What drives us to judge? Why is acceptance such a barren, difficult terrain for our nature? Today, we need to descend the stairs of our own consciousness to answer these questions. We must look to science, to history, and to the footsteps of the Master to understand why judging less, helping more, and loving deeply isn't just a religious suggestion. It is the only way to keep our humanity alive. Modern science tells us that our brains are, at their core, survival machines programmed to conserve energy. In psychology, there is a concept known as the fundamental attribution error, a phenomenon exhaustively studied by researchers at Stanford. It exposes a cruel asymmetry in the way we perceive the world. When we make a mistake, we blame the circumstances. If we're late, it's the traffic. If we're rude, it's because we're exhausted. But when someone else stumbles, we don't look at the circumstances, we indict their character. If they're late, they're irresponsible. If they're rude, they're a bad person. We judge ourselves by our intentions, yet we judge others strictly by their actions. Scientists have discovered that when we pass negative judgment on someone, our brains light up in areas linked to reward and social status. Passing judgment provides a false, fleeting sense of moral superiority, a biological defense mechanism that keeps empathy at arm's length. Furthermore, the neurology of trauma reveals that those who were harshly criticized or rejected in childhood often develop a hypersensitivity to the mistakes of others. We project the intolerance we once suffered onto the world around us. When you look at someone with contempt, you aren't defining who they are. You are revealing, to anyone who knows how to read the signs, the unhealed wounds of your own history. If our biology already tilts us toward judgment, modern society has turned that inclination into an industry. We have entered the age of the digital coliseum. Social media platforms are no longer just tools for communication. They have become vast arenas for virtual lynchings. Where we once sought dialogue, we now seek destruction. The culture of judgment has been turned into a spectacle. The harsher your criticism, the more engagement you receive. The more ruthless you are toward the mistakes of others, the more the algorithm rewards you. We have been taught and incentivized to have a surgical opinion on everything and everyone, even without knowing a single thing about the reality of the facts. A 30-second video is enough to ruin a lifetime of reputation. A poorly phrased sentence becomes a sentence of social exile. The mistake has lost its capacity to teach. In today's world, a mistake is viewed as an unforgivable crime, and the sinner is transformed into a monster that must be cast out from society. What society pretends not to see is that this constant incentive to judge is poisoning our collective mental health. We live in fear. Fear of failing, fear of being misunderstood, fear of being the next ones on the guillotine of public opinion. By turning the internet into a permanent courtroom, we forget that the same inflexible ruler we use to measure our neighbor will, one day, be used by the world to measure us. Hate, even when masked as justice, remains, at its core, nothing but hate. There is a profound spiritual danger in what we call self-righteousness. It is a state of blindness where an individual becomes so convinced of their own goodness that they begin to view the mistakes of others as a personal affront. The judgment encouraged today is hypocritical. It pretends to defend virtues, but it is driven by the sadistic pleasure of watching someone fall. We feed on the failures of others because they act as an anesthetic for our own sense of guilt. When we point a finger at a public figure, a neighbor, or a fellow believer, we are creating a psychological smokescreen. It is as if we are saying to the world, "Look at how intolerant I am of sin, therefore I must be holy." But the holiness Christ taught was never based on policing the lives of others. True spirituality looks inward before it looks outward. Those who truly understand the depth of their own brokenness have neither the time nor the energy to be anyone's executioner. To understand the danger of judging without context, we must look at a true story that took place in the winter of 1994 at a palliative care clinic in Europe. An oncologist, known for his rigidity and demanding nature toward his staff, was called to attend to a terminal patient. Upon entering the room, he found the patient, an elderly man, listening to classical music on a portable speaker at a considerably high volume, disturbing the silence of the hallway. The doctor, driven by his habitual rush and irritability, abruptly switched off the device without asking permission. He looked at the patient and said, his voice heavy with disdain, "You should have more respect for the other patients. This hospital is not your home, and no one here is interested in your music." The elderly man simply lowered his head, whispered an apology, and withdrew beneath his sheets. The doctor left the room feeling justified, convinced he had done his duty. The next day, that patient passed away. While reviewing the medical records and speaking with a head nurse, the doctor discovered something that shattered his armor of arrogance. The elderly man was a retired conductor who had lost his wife and daughter in a car accident years earlier. The music he had been playing was a recording of the final performance he had ever conducted, in which his daughter had been the lead violinist. He was playing it at full volume because he was losing his hearing due to the side effects of chemotherapy, and it was the only way he had left to feel the presence of his family before he died. Unfair judgment is the inevitable consequence of trying to understand the whole while only seeing a fraction. The human mind abhors a vacuum, so when we don't know someone's full story, we don't leave the space blank. We fill it with our worst suspicions. If someone pulls away, we judge it as pride, when in reality, it may be depression. If someone speaks loudly, we judge it as aggression, when it may be the desperation of someone who has never been heard. We demand that others be perfect, linear, and predictable, forgetting that human biographies are full of winding paths, patches, and scars. Unfair judgment is what petrifies a person in their worst moment. It is a gaze that refuses to see that a human being is a process, not a finished product. When we reduce someone to their worst mistake, we commit a crime against their capacity for redemption. It is precisely because of this human blindness that the sacred scriptures do not treat judgment merely as a moral failing, but as an inversion of the divine order. In the Gospel of John, chapter 8, we find the most perfect description of how grace handles the tribunal of men. The narrative does not begin with a theological debate. It begins with the sound of hurried footsteps and cries of indignation. A woman is dragged through the dust. She has been caught in the act of adultery. The Pharisees and the teachers of the law did not see that woman as a human being. To them, she was merely a test subject, a theological argument meant to corner Jesus. They cited the law of Moses with surgical precision. This woman must be stoned. There was a dark satisfaction in those voices. Their brand of justice needed a culprit to feel cleansed. They wanted Jesus to sign the death warrant. But the Master does the unexpected. He stoops down. He descends to the level of that humiliated woman. While the men shout from the heights of their pride, Jesus connects with the dust and writes upon the ground. The biblical text does not reveal what he wrote, but spiritual tradition suggests he was writing the hidden sins of those holding the stones. When challenged to look at their own failures, the weight of the stones became unbearable in the hands of the judges. The crowd disperses. The text says, beginning with the older ones. Because the older ones have lived long enough to know that they too have collected ruins throughout their own biographies. In the end, Jesus looks at the woman and says, "Where are your accusers? Has no one condemned you?" She replies, "No one, Lord." And the words of Christ are the pinnacle of healing. "Neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more." Jesus offers forgiveness before demanding change. He wraps her pain in acceptance, for he knows that only a soul that feels loved has the strength to rebuild its story. The opposite of judgment isn't indifference, it's active help. It is remarkably easy to look at someone who is sinking and offer intellectual commentary on why they ended up in that situation. What's difficult is climbing down into the well, reaching out your hand, and sharing the weight of the mud with them. The world is full of professional critics, but it is starving for laborers of human restoration. Christ taught us that love is not an abstract sentiment, but a concrete action. To help means to relinquish the time we would have spent criticizing and use it to build instead. When we choose not to judge, we clear space in our daily lives to listen, to welcome, and to heal. If the energy spent on virtual lynchings and malicious gossip were channeled into mutual support, our communities would be hospitals for the soul, rather than courts of law. Understanding this requires from us a daily, courageous conversion. It means looking at our neighbor not through the lens of suspicion, but through the lens of mercy. The Apostle Paul, in his letter to the Romans, issues a stern warning: "Who are you to judge someone else's servant? To their own master, they stand or fall." When we judge others, we are attempting to occupy a place that does not belong to us, the place of God. The invitation for today is simple, yet revolutionary. The next time the tribunal in your mind rises to condemn someone, pause. Breathe. Remember the doctor and the conductor. Remember the stones left in the sands of Galilee. Remember that the person you are about to criticize was bought at the same price of blood and love as you were. Replace the word of accusation with a gesture of aid. Extend your hand before you point your finger. For at the end of our journey on this earth, when all the curtains close and the final silence settles, we will not be remembered for the opinions we defended, nor for the errors we pointed out in others. We will be judged by the love we gave away, by the wounds we helped to heal, and by the stones we chose to leave on the ground. When Christ synthesized the entirety of the law and the prophets into the commandment to love our neighbor as ourselves, he wasn't just giving us a rule for peaceful coexistence. He was revealing an inseparable psychological and spiritual truth. Non-judgment is the true measure of that love. Loving oneself implies an automatic pursuit of self-preservation, of tolerance for one's own shortcomings, and of justification for one's own stumbles. We know our intentions on our bad days, and because of that, we forgive ourselves easily, wrapping ourselves in a mantle of grace. Yet, when we fail to apply that same logic to our neighbor, we break the symmetry of the divine commandment. Judging others with severity while treating ourselves with extreme leniency is the definitive sign that we have not yet grasped what it truly means to love. Loving our neighbor requires the courageous inverted exercise of extending to them the same benefit of the doubt we reserve for ourselves, understanding that their pain hurts just as much as ours, that their falls are born from the same weaknesses that assail us in the darkness of our own rooms, and that the mercy we long to receive from the Creator is the exact measure of the mercy we are obligated to sow in the lives of those who walk beside us. There is no genuine love where the whip of judgment is raised. Whoever loves as Christ taught chooses to be a sanctuary, not a courtroom. Now, let us unite our thoughts and our voices in the prayer that Christ taught us. Feel the words, reflect upon them, and let the peace that God has for you fill your heart. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. And forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. May you find the strength to love more, to welcome always, and to judge less. If this reflection has found a place in your soul, allow it to reach other hearts. Share this message. Let the seed of compassion flourish. Thank you for walking with us on this journey of faith and depth. Until our next meeting.